pretty stretched out for a lot of the drive. But as far as keeping those feet underneath her, making her kind of let her look natural when she's spread out. She kind of looks a little lazy in her top line, but she's looking really good right now, and your heifer handled great for you. Young lady with the red heifer, I know she's kind of putting the fight on for you. When you do get her set up, you get her head cranked up really well. And as far as just working on making sure she stays set up. I know as the drive wore on, but I think you did a great job of watching where I was, moving around with me as far as when I'm going out and just working hard on that heifer. I know she hasn't been easy to show, but you did a good job working hard. But I'm going to go ahead and use the young man of the cowboy hat to be your grand champion, and the young lady with the red heifer to be your third. Then as we move down the line, I think there's 4 other blue ribbon showmen out here. And I think you guys all did a great job of presenting your animals. Worked hard with them. Like young man with the cowboy hat kind of down the line to your cow. I think you did a great job of handling her. She was wanting to fight you pretty good, but you didn't get frustrated, and I sure appreciate you. And you guys down the line, just keep working on getting those animals set up. As far as you want that offside, you got that foot that's on the same side as you, kind of a little bit further forward. Make sure you get their heads up, kind of present them well. But other than that, you guys all did a great job, so let's go ahead and give them all a big round of applause for a bunch of blue ribbon showmen down here on the fence. Golly, it's fun to see such a big cow-calf pair show out here this morning. I commend all you kids for getting them out here and getting them shown because, speaking from experience here, I know this is probably the hardest project to get exhibited at the fair. I mean, this is a lot more challenging getting fat steers ready. These cows are getting them bred and getting these calves broke in a hurry and getting them out here and getting them shown. You guys have some outstanding projects from top to bottom, but with that being said, I went ahead and use that solid black pair there on the end to win the class. Kind of use that cow to win the cow show and the calf to win the calf show. So kind of logically makes sense as far as those two winning the pair show. And when you get to studying the pair, that cow's doing a really good job. She's a big-bodied cow. And when you study her back down through her calf, that calf's really big-bodied, really stout-ended. Just kind of a pair that fits together really well. Like I said in the cow show, definitely like to make her a shot more refined in that cow's udder. Make her a little bit shorter toed as far as how she's handling her foot structure. That cow's doing a great job. She's a nice looking cow, and that calf's really big-bodied, really stout-made to go ahead and lead off the class. Like I said, seeing both that pair out here before as far as this pair coming in second with the young ladies pair there. That 2-year-old cow, she's big body, she's really long and extended, really refined in how she looks, and that heifer calf sure takes her gets that stamp from her as far as one that's got some extension, got some femininity up front, but just in that close top pair. I think that both those animals just need a shot more volume to them, but a really nice pair. I'm gonna go ahead and give that young lady a purple ribbon as well because that's a great job with that pair. Now the pair coming in third here, starting off the blue ribbon cattle with this young man in the cowboy hats pair. That cow is probably the most attractive cow in the class. She's really big-bodied, really feminine and refined up through her front end, really attractive as far as how she looks. Just a bit as far as when you get to comparing her to the cattle above her. Just wish we had a little bit more out of that steer calf beside her. Kind of just gets a little bit more outpowered there. But young man, you got a great looking cow that I think, as she gets some more years under her, she's going to really start to stamp those calves a little bit, be able to, with a little bit more power. But a really nice pair to come in third there. Another blue ribbon coming in fourth with the young ladies, our Baldy pair here. That's a really nice pair, actually, when you get to study them. That cow's really proportionally balanced, really feminine. Love that cow for how young she is. She's got a beautiful udder on her. Love the pigment on her teats. But in that calf right beside her, kind of got that similar look as far as one that's really feminine. Just in this set, just needs to be a little bit more powerful, a little bit more body in that heifer calf at this stage of the game. But a really nice pair that I've taken up and away from you, so it was really close. Then as we go down to young man's red cow here, when you get to study that cow's calf, I think, young man, you're probably going to have a fun steer to show next year because that bugger's cool as far as one that's really up-headed, really stout-ended. I think you're going to have he's going to be a great one to come back here next year. Just at this stage of the game, that cow just a little greener, a little harder in your condition looking today, but I still really think that cow's going to be a good one, so I'm going to go ahead and give you a blue ribbon as well. So congratulations, all you exhibitors. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Okay, in the cow-calf class, we have receiving a purple James Seiden sticker and Kiara Rice. They'll remain in the ring and be joined by the other purple ribbon females to select our supreme overall grand and reserve female. Next, in the cow-calf class, receiving blues were Ian Radcliffe, Hannah Todd, and Tatum Todd. So congratulations to our cow-calf class. We're bringing purple ribbons from the previous classes, and we'll be now selecting the supreme female grand and reserve.
I think we had a great breeding heifer show out here, breeding female show. From top to bottom, these kids did a great job. It's fun to get to step in the back in the heart of cow country and get to look at some great cows. And but for me, I think there's still one female out here that just puts together the most as far as what I'm looking for, as far as one that's got a tremendous amount of volume, one that's really proportionally made, one that really good on their feet and legs, that just really fits me as far as the type and kind I'm looking for. And that's the young lady with the black heifer. She's going to go ahead and be your supreme overall breeding female. Let's give her a round of applause. Then I think as we get to studying here for reserve, I think it gets pretty close between these, between the pair and that other heifer. But for me, I think as far as one that puts together more pieces that I like, as far as one that balances up really well, as far as one that has some power, and that's the young man's chocolate heifer there. She's going to be your reserve champion. So congratulations to you, young man. Let's give all these exhibitors a round of applause.
Goes to Cassidy Dunnigan, and reserve champion to Ivor Ratcliffe. So that concludes our breeding show. Congratulations to all our exhibitors. Appreciate you bringing those breeding animals in. We'll be going into our showmanship of our market beef next, and we should have the seniors coming up. There'll be two groups of senior market beef showmen. And in the first group, we should have Tierra Barnowski, Kurt Funston, Shelby Klein, Tyler Pancos, Delaney Scafani, and Taylor Smith.
Set of four young gentlemen here. They made for the most competitive drive I've gotten to see today as far as how close it was. All four of these kids, I wouldn't argue with you if you wanted to bring all four of them back for the grand drive, but for me, I just kind of got down to splitting a few hairs on how these animals are set up. I'm going to go ahead and bring these two young men up that are still out on the rail. They're going to get to come back for the grand drive and receive purple ribbons, so let's go ahead and give those two a round of applause. When you get talk about these two other guys, I've taken nothing away from you two. You guys both did a great job. Young man in the FFA jacket, at times your steer there just got a little bit more stretched out for you. Just make sure you're kind of paying attention to where the judge is and just kind of make sure you keep that animal set up just a little bit more underneath themselves. But good job to you, young man. The young man coming in next, I really appreciate how that you kind of came in guns a-blazing into the show ring, but you got that animal back under control. You performed that S-turn as good as I've seen anybody do all day. Just make sure your animal's not getting too stretched out when you're out on the profile. You did an excellent job, buddy. So let's give all these other two kids a big round of applause. They both certainly deserve it.
There's water.
Oh, thank God.
Back for the final drive is Ivor Radcliffe and Case Wagner to bring in the second group of showmen, junior beef showmen. In this class, we should have Allie Dale, Kyle Pancost, Caleb Rice, and Hannah Todd.
I think this junior division of showmanship has probably been the most competitive class that I once again get to see today. As far as all four of these kids did a great job. Once again, we'll go ahead and bring those two kids out on the rail. They're going to get to come back and for the grand drive and both receive purple ribbons there. So congratulations to both them. Let's give them a round of applause for getting to come back. And I think it was really close between these next two girls. I think they're both very deserving, would be very deserving to come back for the grand drive. But once again, it's just kind of, as the class went on, I think there's just a few things to work on, starting with the young lady in the FFA jacket. For me, I think you had your steer set up really correctly when you're up on the profile. For me, I think, you kind of need your steer to get a little lower headed. And I think what would fix that is if you kind of dropped your hand down and grab a little bit closer on the chain, so you're just a little bit closer to your halter there, and it gives you a little bit more control of that animal as far as if that animal needs to take a step or something, you're right there to kind of keep a handle on it. But you did a great job getting your animal set up. Just a few times you want to get a little lower headed compared to those other two. The young lady with the solid black steer, for me, I think that steer, the young lady had a great reading presence about her. Was really watched me well and moved well. Just need to work on getting that animal set up a little better on that profile as far as getting that offside leg. Just to pull a little bit further forward, not setting them up quite as square on that back end. But great job to all four of these guys. Let's go ahead and give them another round of applause.
Group 2 receiving purple ribbons is Kyle Pancost and Caleb Rice, and receiving blue ribbons is Allie Dale and Hannah Todd. We'll now go into the final drive and select the grand and reserve of the purple ribbon showman. In the juniors, we should have back in the ring Case Wagner and Ivor Radcliffe, joining Kyle Pancost and Caleb Rice.
Did you give the back
You know, once again, congratulations to all 4 of these kids on making it back out for the grand drive. You know, like what said, it was very competitive all day. I'll kind of go through each one of these kids briefly here. Young man out here in the front with the solid black steer there. You know, I think you did a great job getting that animal set up for the most part. You know, a few different things I picked up on with you is, for one, I'd like to see you adjust your halter a little bit, because the way that halter, and it's kind of one of my pet peeves, is and it might take a punching at your hole, but you kind of want to get that halter a little bit higher up on their cheek. When you got it low, and you, like I said, I saw you turn around after pull on them, it's hitting them in the wrong spot. You want them hitting them right here as far as that pressure goes, and it'll make them go forward instead of kind of turn their head and go there. And then another thing I saw you do is in that first drive, set up very well, especially when we did them on the profile, and even on the side-by-side view there, you had them set up wide, you had them set up square, but just to, you know, have that leg off just enough to really present them well. You know, one thing I really picked up on here in this last drive is, you know, when you're getting them into, when you have to recircle them there to pull them into that side profile, just pull him out and do a bigger circle. Instead of kind of turning his head back, he kind of turned it back in. It's kind of awkward for that steer to want to set up. You know, if you bring him around, bring him in, you might have to set him out a little bit closer, but I'm not going to be mad at you when you're kind of dealing with tight space there. But other than that, you did a great job getting your animal set up all day there. Young lady at the black and white steer, I think, you know, your animal just kind of came in, set up, knew what he was doing, and just showed excellent for you today. You know, I think you did a good job. You know, maybe work on one thing I noticed with you is, you know, when you're leading that steer, just kind of, like say, I'd grab a little bit closer to his halter on his chain. So you kind of get your arm up here, and kind of looks a little bit more awkward. You can really control your animal a little better by just getting a hold of it a little closer to the halter there. Young man in the back, you know, when you get your steer set up, you know, he usually, for the most part, all through the drive, he's been set up good. Once again, you know, that, like I say, just kind of work on pulling him right into the spot and getting him set up for him to set up. And, you know, don't poke at his feet quite as much there, but when you're working on getting him set up, just kind of, you can use your halter pretty good to move those feet around. But other than that, I think it was a great drive. I think there's 4 really tough kids. I'll go out and select your champion reserve.
Grand champion senior showman is Kyle Pankow.
Junior showman. Caleb Bryce is.
And reserve champion junior showman is Caleb Bryce. Congratulations, junior showman. We'll have them exit the ring now, and we will be beginning with market beef classes next. We have 4 classes broken up by weight. We'll start with the first class of lighter weight steers coming in the ring here shortly. Anna Todd, Andrew Ball, Leo Scafani, and Delaney Scafani. This is Class 1 market beef, lighter weight steers, ranging from 1044 to 1130.
as we get started here in this lighter weight division, I think we're pretty far off as far as ideal end weights on these cattle. I think there's some steers in here that could certainly use another 100, 110, 120 days on feed to kind of get to where they need to be. But, with kind of taking delivery date here today, I think there's a steer that wins the class, and he does it pretty easily, and that's the young man's black steer. He's going to get a purple ribbon and get to come back for the grand drive. That steer, I wish he was way more extended in his kind. He's kind of a shorter hipped, shorter statured steer that just needs to be more extended. But, when you get looking past that, he's a pretty wide-bodied, big rib type of steer that has a lot of dimension down his top. Has some base width, has some foot and bone underneath him, and he's really attractively put together from the side as far as being very proportional. Just kind of an easy place to start off with there. Young lady's red steer going to get a blue ribbon as well. I like that steer as far as his kind. He's really extended, kind of a later maturing looking steer. Got a little bit more length and extension up through his front end. Probably the heaviest muscle steer in the class as far as having a lot of top shape and a big hip to him. He just needs more feed to him when getting your hands on him. I just like to see him a little bit more ideal in his finish, a little softer than his overall look. But a nice kind of blue ribbon steer to come in second. Then as we move into this young lady's black steer, she's going to start into the red ribbon division. That steer's a good kind as far as he's deep-sided. He's really practical in his look. He just needs a lot more days on feed. He's just pretty far off from his ideal end point for me. But just a good kind as far as being having some depth aside, having some looseness of structure, just kind of a good kind of steer. Young man's yellow steer coming next. That steer actually has the advantage advantage of the steer ahead of him as far as being a little bit heavier muscled. But for me, he's just too green. He just missing a lot more cover over his ribs. Just needs to be softer body. But once again, I wish I could see that steer with a little bit extra feet because he's kind of a good kind. Young man steer coming next. Now that steer's got a tremendous amount of muscle to him. He's really big top, got a lot of shape down out of his hip and down through his lower stifle. Once again, just needs to have a lot more feed, just needs to be softer bodied, a little bit more practical in his rib cage. But a nice steer. The young man did a good job of showing him, so let's give him all a round of applause.
All right, in Class 1, purple ribbon went to Leo Scafani, a blue ribbon to Delaney Scafani, and receiving red ribbon was Hannah Todd, Zachary Foss, and Andrew Ball. We'll go into our second class of market beef, and we should have coming in now Allie Dale, Kyle Pancost, Kara Dale, Shelby Klein, Kurt Funston, and Toddy Rodriguez. This is our second class market beef based on weight. We have weights in this class from 1187 to 1301.
When we get into the second class of Marcus Sears, we're getting a little bit closer as far as what I'm looking for as far as finish weight. And I think there's two pretty good steers to start off the class with, and they get there pretty quick. But it's just pretty hard to get around this young lady's black and white mark steer, and he's going to go ahead and win the class. As far as the way that one's built, I really like him. He's really big-bodied, really three-dimensional in his rib cage. Got a really big top on him, comes wide out of his hip and from the side. He's really up-headed, got some extension, comes really level out through his hip and hind leg. Probably, he's pushing a little bit more weight than some of these other steers, which is what good in this situation. That steer just really puts it together, and he's definitely deserving of a purple ribbon. Young lady coming in second, I really like some things about that steer. He's really big and stand up in his top shape. He's got a lot of dimension out of his hip, really big rib cage. But, when you get to study him compared to that steer ahead of him, he's just another, just kind of gives up a little bit more in terms of look, in terms of some extension. But I still think that's a good quality steer. So I'm going to go ahead and give that young lady a purple ribbon as well and let her have a chance to come back for that grand drive as well there. As we get down the line, I thought it was pretty close between these two steers starting into the blue ribbon division. I think there's some trade-offs as far as some body, as far as some muscle. But I went ahead and used young lady's black and white steer. For me, that steer is just absolutely massive down his top. He's big backed. He's got a really wide hip to him. Stands on a really big foot and bone. But for me, I wish he was a lot softer in his look. Like to see him pulled down softer in his flank. Definitely like to fix him in terms of his front end structure. Gets a little coarser in his joint work through his knees. Like to make him a little smoother in his shoulder and more relaxed in that angle. But really powerful kind of steer to come in third. The young man saw a black steer. I think that was pretty close. Another blue ribbon steer coming next. I think that steer has the advantage as far as one that's softer and more practical in his look. But when you get to splitting hairs on him, he gives up a shot to more in terms of overall muscle. Like to see him a little bit more extended from his shoulder forward, just a little bit later maturing in his look. And he as well kind of gets a little bit more rigid on his rear too, as far as how he handles his structure. But a really nice steer. And then the young lady's baldy steer. I'm going to go ahead and award that steer another blue ribbon. That steer's got some size to him. He's got some extension. Just in this class, I'd like to see him a shot more muscle powered up. He gets a little bit sharper down his top compared to the steers ahead of him. I'd like to see him a shot bigger hip, a little bit softer in his middle too. But a really nice kind of steer. A young man steer rounding off the class. I think he's another blue ribbon quality steer. As far as one that's got some length, got some extension. Would like to see that steer just a little bit more finish to him, but he just kind of gives up a little bit more in terms of overall muscle. A little shorter hip steer that flattens down the base of the stifle. Gets a notch narrower down his top. But a really nice class. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Okay, in Class 2, receiving purple is Kyle Pancost and Allie Dale. They'll come back for the final drive. And receiving blues are Kara Dale, Shelby Klein, Kurt Funston, and Cody Rodriguez. We'll bring in Class 3 next. We should have Tyler Pancost, Taylor Smith, Tiara Barnowski, Evan Smith, and Jessica Massard coming in the ring now. We would like to take a moment to thank the sponsors of our Beef Awards. These all have sponsored awards for these members to take home. We have Valley Garden, Frank and Cindy Bokovitz, Sitz Angus Ranch, Dunn Canyon Cattle Company, Hamilton Ranches, Frontline Ag Solutions, Rice Ranches, Heidi Ranch, Gim Angus Ranch, Broxel Ranch, Bradley Livestock, Boyd Angus Ranch, Hanson Ranch, Horse Creek Hay and Cattle, and LaRae Stender. We would also like to thank Murdoch's for the use of the panels for our arena today. So let's give all of our sponsors of the beef show a round of applause. We sure appreciate their support.
Get these animals fed. I think, these kids got these steers pretty ideal in terms of their finish. And, for me, I think it got really close when you get to studying that top pair. I think that was the toughest pair I've had to sort all day. But for me, it just kind of broke down with what pieces I like the best. And I went ahead and used the young ladies' Red Baldy steer to win the class. For me, he's just the absolute heaviest muscle. When you get your hands on him, he's the biggest and most stand-up down his top. Has a lot of dimension out of his hip, as well as, just really good made from the side. He's got a lot of length. He's got a lot of his hip. Certainly like to make him a little bit more expressive down through his lower stifle, but that's just kind of a nice steer there to lead off the class with. He's going to get a purple ribbon. I'm also going to give a purple ribbon to the second in class there. That's another steer that's really big-bodied, really ideal in terms of his finish. He's got some dimension down his top, but just gave up too much power out of his hip. Just need to be a little bit more dimensional throughout and just a little bit more expressive in his muscle shape, but a really good kind of steer to come in the second. When we get to going down the line, this young lady steer coming next, that's another blue ribbon exhibit. Another steer that, I really like the way that one's built. He's got some length and extension up through his front end, a lot of depth inside. He's really attractive in terms of how he looks. That one just needs to be more powered up down his top and be more dimensional out of his hip to get him higher. As we move down the line, the young man steer coming next, another blue ribbon exhibit. Another steer that just, really like his length, like how extended he is, just need to be a little bit more, have a little more muscle down his top and down out through his ribeye there. But just a really nice steer to come next. And the young man steer running off the class, another blue ribbon exhibit, really big frame, really extended this type and kind. Just one that just need to be powered up, just need to be more correct in terms of how he's put together. It's a really nice class. Let's give him all a round of applause.
Man, it's struggling.
Can we plug it in?
We got one more group.
One more, right?
One more.
You'll just taper off.
Ivor, Coleman, Caleb, and Case.
You got to cover it with this.
guys, great job getting them fed. This is the right kind of cattle as far as some cattle. Got some stretch, got some grow. Are going to be pushing a big pay weight. And I think it's a pretty tough class. You know, there's some good cattle from top to bottom in this set of 4. So commend all of you guys. But, you know, there's one steer that fits me, and he fits me pretty dang well, and that's this young man's Blaze Face steer. He's going to go ahead and lead off the class. You know, as far as one that's really ideal as far as his frame size. He's big, he's long, has his neck high into his shoulder, really correct in terms of how he handles his structure, and love how deep body for how much frame that steer has. He's got a tremendous amount of practicality in his look. Just in this pair, I'm going to go ahead and give that young man a purple ribbon as well and let him come back for the grand drive. But in this pair, he just gave up a little bit too much in terms of overall muscling to get ahead of that steer in front of him. Just needs to be a little bit more expressive down his top, a little bit more bigger and shapier out of his hip. But that's a really nice steer to come in second. So congratulations to you, young man, there. Then as we get down into the blue ribbon division with this young man's steer coming next, like I say, I like how that frame size in that steer. He's extended. He's got a late maturing look to him. The young man did a good job of getting him fed up. You know, for me, he just needs to be just have a shot more muscling to him. But as far as one in this bottom pair, he just kind of has a little bit more practical in his look, a little bit softer in his flank. But a really nice steer. And then the young man coming in 4th, once again, not taking anything away from that young man there, because that steer actually probably has the advantage in terms of overall muscling compared to the steer ahead of him. But just in this pair, in this class, like to see him a shot softer in his look, maybe longer in his hip, and more expressive down his lower stifle. But another blue ribbon exhibit. So congratulations to these 4 kids. They did a great job of getting them fed. So let's give them all a round of applause.
Last 4 purple ribbons went to Coleman Gilman and Case Wagner, and blue ribbons to Ivor Radcliffe and Caleb Rice. We will leave those 2 purple ribbons in the ring, and they will be joined by the purple ribbons from the previous classes. That should be from Class 1, Leo Scafani, from Class 2, Allie Dale and Kyle Pancost, and from Class 3, Tyler Pancost and Tierra Barnoski.
What a high quality steer show we had today from top to bottom. I think these kids did an excellent job, and it makes me excited about what we got coming forward in the beef industry. Because there's some kids all these kids tried hard. They exhibited the projects well, and I sure appreciate that. With this year, it's there's been a lot of it that's not been a lot of fun for any of us really, and I think something that you guys need to remember, need to take attention to is I'm about to go out here and select the winner, but honestly today with what we've had go on in the world, I think even these red ribbon, blue ribbon steers, we all got to be winners today because we got this show put together and it got to happen, and that didn't get to happen everywhere else. So let's give a round of applause to Casey and everybody else and jumping through the hoops and getting this deal done. Back to the cattle here, I got the chance here over the month of July to go down and go through these feed yards and go talk to these guys that are feeding cattle and kind of see what they're seeing and see what they're liking and whatnot there. And, a couple lessons I learned down there getting kicked around by those boys and cattle buyers and everything else is, what they're kind of liking. They're liking these cattle to be able to get big. They're liking these cattle to have some performance. I went through each one of those feed yards that, we looked at well over 100,000 head of fat cattle that week and asked them had them drive me by their favorite pen of cattle. Which ones was their favorite ones they had on feed. And I'll just tell you this right off the bat, it was some cattle that had some performance, had some muscle, and, honestly, it was some cattle that were probably crossbred on that F1 cross across the board is what they were showing me. That was the pens they liked to feed, and they were good kind. They were sound structured. They were able to get to the bunk, to the water, and do it with ease and not burn a lot of calories doing it, and they were getting there quick. And, for me, I think that was a big lesson for me as far as, getting to step out in the middle of these show rings, as far as picking some cattle that got some look to them, that are the right kind, that got some muscling and are pretty ideal in the finish, and got the weight that, got the frame to be able to handle the weights these guys are looking for. And for me, I think there's a steer that goes out here and fits the bill and fits it pretty easy, and I'll go out and shake their hand here in a second. But, as far as how I'm going to go through this, as soon as I shake your hand, go ahead and pull your steer out of line and set them up on the side-by-side. But, with that, let's give all these exhibitors a big round of applause, and I'll kind of place them from top to bottom here right out in front of you folks.
Congratulations to our winner. We'd like to thank our judge, Kevin Mernion, for coming over from Billings and sorting the cattle for us today. He did a great job.